Eye on Gauteng, brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development.
Hello and welcome to Eye on Gauteng. My name is Lionel Skink. Thanks for joining us. In 2011, the automotive sector contributed almost 7% to South Africa's GDP, making it the fastest growing manufacturing subsector in the country. 300,000 people are currently employed in the sector. With major initiatives and projects underway, the South African automotive industry is set to grow even further, and the Gauteng province is well placed to take advantage. As South Africa's Detroit, the province is the leading hub of the vehicle manufacturing industry in Southern Africa, and it's home to 3 of the 7 local vehicle assemblers and 164 automotive component manufacturers. This province is an automotive force to be reckoned with. Now, joining us in studio to discuss the Gauteng automotive industry is the CEO of the Automotive Industry Development Center, the AIDC, Mr. Balo Manilal, the acting CEO of the Supplier Park Development Company, SPDC, Ms. Welile Maleka, and Director of the Automotive Leather Company, Mr. Johannes Mangwejana. Thank you very much to my guests and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we're going to start with you, Balo. The Gauteng industry and the fact that we have the AIDC and we also have the Supplier Park Development Company, and we want to talk to Johannes as well about his tendency. But the Gauteng province, is it the Detroit of South Africa?
Yeah, it is certainly the leading province from an automotive manufacturing point of view. I think your summary, captured it quite well. We have more than just 3. We have 4 assemblies. You forgot the recent establishment of Tata in the Roslyn area. We have the 164 component manufacturers. And I think what's very important to note is the bulk of the manufacturing that takes place in Gauteng is exported to over 130 countries in the world. So I have no doubt from your conclusion that it is the powerhouse in Africa.
Okay. Now, obviously, for this to happen, we're going to need logistics. We're going to need some sort of a shared services kind of setup, and the supplier park is pretty much that. Welile, you want to just weigh in there and tell us from a logistics point of view, how do you support the industry in Gauteng?
Okay. How we support the industry is that we are, as you've said correctly, we are the Automotive Supplier Park. We are a government program, an initiative, and we attract investment to support the OEMs. And when we say investment, we're talking about manufacturers. So we attract component manufacturers.
When you say OEMs, for people that aren't...
The original equipment manufacturers, sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, we attract component suppliers. And what we ensure is that they fit into the production cycle of, the production cycle of the OEMs. And I think it's very critical for us to also just explain that we support the just-in-time, just-in-sequence production cycle. Okay. And that's quite significant in terms of, you've spoken about the logistics and the challenges. Commonly, you'll hear the concerns about Gauteng, being basically a dry port. Well, not even having a dry port, but, just being inland. And we've sought, as a park, to address those logistics challenges, ensure that there is a seamless production cycle in the value chain.
So short of bringing the port and the sea to Gauteng, what exactly do you do as far as meeting the challenges of logistics? Because we are still very far away from the ports, aren't we?
Well, I think what we've done is the component manufacturers are right in the park, which is, and to give you an indication of proximity, it's literally 1 minute from BMW and Nissan just up the road. And when I talk about the production cycle that they support, basically what happens is that the components that are needed, that are found and located within the park in supporting the value chain, is the production, the just-in-time, just-in-sequence process. And how it works is that basically you will get, or a component manufacturer will get an indication from a BMW, for instance, to say, we need a dashboard at 12. And that dashboard will be on the assembly plant at 12. So what we've done is, in addressing those logistics challenges, is that we've brought the suppliers closer to our OEMs. But that said, there are also initiatives going forward that seek to not only address the logistical challenges, but in terms of the long-term planning around the automotive, sector in the Roslyn area, is the introduction of a dry port. We're looking at that initiative taking place. We're in consultation with Transnet to ensure that we're able to also contribute, because I think we look at the auto sector not just as the Gauteng, but as a it's a national,
as a
countrywide thing. So we tie in. The logistics should be seamless, and they should be linked. So the hubs are linked, and our contribution will be through the dry port, which will also, once it's up and running, see the alleviation, particularly from the congestion in the Durban port. So again, a total eye to seeing how we continue to address the logistical challenges.
Okay, I want to bring Johannes in here. Obviously, as an automotive components supplier yourself, you are situated within the auto supply park as well. How do you see the value of being a tenant there?
Okay, the value. Thank you for having me here. The value is that firstly is for the shared services that we really like, and we make use of it, being it the medical, IT, and other related issues. The other thing is that being in the supplier park brought us closer to the airport, because most of our components are exported. So in the past we were in Garankuwa, which was a little bit further. It was seen as a rural area and so on. And those being also closer to the OEMs, two of them that are just around the corner, it's very, very easy for the just-in-time deliveries. If they say we want this component at this time, at this thing, it will be there at that time.
Let me just understand this, Johannes. Are you supplying you supplying leather seats, right?
Well, we are supplying leather seat covers.
Leather seat covers,
yes.
Okay. And your customers, are they based in the park or are they based overseas?
No, we don't have OEMs in the park, and most of our customers, it's overseas. We export to BMW, Mercedes-Benz, but locally we deal with Volkswagen.
Okay.
So, like I said, the distance from the park to the airport, because we make use of the passenger aeroplanes daily, even including the weekends. So it is conducive for us to be there in the park.
Right, let's just kick up the discussion a bit further now. The Automotive Industry Development Center. It's a first of its kind in the world. One of the first of a kind. And the model that you have developed there, Barlow, is world beating in the sense that South Africa has its challenges, and our industry is very small. But just tell us about the thinking behind the setting up of the AIDC, and how has it changed the automotive industry?
Okay, I think the AIDC was actually an initiative of the DTI's future thinking for the automotive industry. The MIDP, when it was launched, the Motor Industry Development Program in 1995, obviously that was merely just an incentive scheme. 2 years later, in order to give it more traction, they looked at some sort of implementation agency that could take these programs and actually be an implementation agency on behalf of government. And that actually was the thinking that conceptualized the AIDC. So the AIDC is positioned as an industry support center, operating as an engineering center of excellence, focusing on skills development training, enterprise development, and logistics supply chain issues, as well as looking at other collaborative opportunities within the automotive value chain.
So how has it just sort of revolutionized the way in which the automotive industry sort of operates? Because I would imagine before that it was at various...
Yes, yeah. It was very, very fragmented in the past, and we have the different clusters. If you look at Gauteng, you've got KZN, you've got Western Cape. There's, I think, to a lesser degree, automotive presence in Western Cape and Northwest Province as well. And what we do is we look at the synergies that we can derive from these various locations. We also proactively engage with the assemblers, as well as the suppliers and government, both province and national, to look at how we can take their policies and strategies and implement them within the supply chain with the express purpose of deriving a socio-economic benefit for government.
I'm glad you picked up on the socio-economic impact of the industry, but I just want to bring Welile in. 300,000 jobs, I could have my stats wrong, but I do know this for the fact that the the Roslyn area, the Tshwane area that we're talking about is responsible for a very large percentage of people that have jobs in that part of the country, and it's a sector that absorbs a lot of jobs. I mean, Johannes himself, he has like 900 people that he employs. But just give us a sense of just how impactful the sector is in terms of socioeconomics.
I think it's extremely impactful. I think one of the things we need to note is that, you know, Roslyn is formally classified as a depressed area in the Tshwane region. So, you know, the importance of the automotive sector can't be, you know, it can't be understated in any way. Just around, you know, in terms of our employees that are operating within the park, you know, we are basically attracting employment from 3 areas. We are a catchment for Garankuwa, for Soshanguve and Mapopane. And, you know, that's quite significant. So we see, and I think it's very important for us being a government program, you know, to be speaking to community sustainability, contribution to skills development and all those things. So definitely on the agenda for us, very high.
So I'm told it's also the largest consumer of water and electricity in the Tshwane. So Johannes, you're not very energy efficient as an industry.
No, we are. But talking about the taking of the employment there, we, like you rightly said, we have got 900 employees plus. And of those 900, we also have people with disabilities, people who are deaf, who are on wheelchairs, and so on. And when you look at the people, like you rightly said, of Garankuwa, Mabopane, and Soshanguve, over and above that, we have people from Mamelodi and Atteridgeville. But when you, the proximity, that place is well situated. We have got taxi ranks, trains, and the banking industry, plus shopping malls around it. So it's not a train smash for the people. Knock off time, they can still go to the shops, get their money, and go home.
I'm going to ask you a question. It's a bit sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, the government is going on about decent quality work. Would you say that you provide decent quality employment?
Very, very much so. Let me tell you, statistically, for every 1 employee employed by us, is looking after another 7 people. So multiply that 7 by 900. That is decent work and decent food daily, not weekly, not monthly.
Well, that's good news. Well, we're going to talk about investment and other issues when we come back after the break, and more on the automotive industry in Gauteng when we come back. Stay tuned.